Alright everyone, so today I wanted to share with you guys some really important must-know information, tips, and also go through the best units for the upcoming final boss GOWTHER fight. Now I will say at the time of me recording this, the encounter isn't actually out yet, but if you guys enjoy this video and the information and you want me to actually go through the encounter when it's out and kind of do a detailed step-by-step guide, feel free to let me know somehow by either leaving a like, leaving a comment, or of course subscribing to the channel. Now let's go ahead and jump right to it, and we're going to start off with the thing that you probably want to know the most, and that is going to be the rewards. Now the really important thing about the rewards is they're broken up into two different categories and lists. You have the first category, which is going to be the rewards from the points exchange shop, and then the second category, which is going to be the rewards that you get for your placement, the top X percentage. So depending on how well you score and how well you score compared to everybody else as well. So right up on the screen right here, you guys will actually see the points exchange. Now the really cool thing about the points exchange is if the final boss GOWTHER fight actually functions very similar to the final boss King encounter that we had earlier, you actually don't have to complete the most difficult settings in order to get all of these rewards. You will be able to actually farm the lower difficulty settings if you want, and the only limiting factor is your actual stamina usage. So if you've got some stamina potions saved up, you could just farm the lowest difficulty, accumulate those points, and buy everything in the points exchange if that's the route that you want to go. Now, I will say, though, in terms of a priority order, of course, the costumes at the very top right there for 120, 80, and 40 points are going to be the most important things. But there's a lot of other really useful stuff here as well. You can see you've got the 6-star chalices, which is awesome. It's not even the 5-star version of them. You've got a bunch of boss materials, UR chests, those 5-star and 4-star awakening stones, and even anvils there at the bottom. Now, the second list right here is really important because the difference between these rewards and the ones that we just saw is these ones are going to be much more competitive. You are going to have to actually beat the higher difficulty boss encounters in order to get those top placements. Now, at the very top, of course, you have 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th through 10th. But then you have that top 5%. Now, if you do get in the top 5%, you'll actually get all the rewards below it, and that works for everything. So, top 15% isn't going to get the rewards for top 5%, obviously, but they're going to get the top 15% and everything below that. So, my guess would be with the easiest difficulty, you might be able to get into the top 50%, but, that's kind of going to be the break point where you'll probably have to do the second most difficult setting or the most difficult setting in order to really place above that for all those extra rewards. So, okay, so next up, I just wanted to go over some very general information about the encounter that you're going to want to know without really even getting into how the encounter works. This is just kind of like that must-know stuff before you actually go into it. So first of all is that the final boss GOWTHER encounter is going to be red, and speed, which is blue units, are going to have the advantage. So that's primarily the units that you're going to want to focus on bringing for your composition. And of course, in a second here, I'll actually get into the list of the best units and kind of go through an order of like what I would consider to be the absolute best units, the MVPs, I guess you could say, and then kind of some substitutes if maybe you don't have those units or you don't have them built yet. So the next thing is he is immune to debuffs, and this is obviously huge, very important when it comes to structuring your team composition. Definitely want to be aware of that. Now also, he actually does 300% or 3 times damage to both HP, which is green units, and all demon units as well, regardless of their color. So very importantly, blue demon Meliodas, even though he's blue and he has the advantage because he is considered a demon, he is still going to take that 300% damage. So be careful about that. And of course, you are going to need AoE on some of your team members for the second phase. So building a team completely with single target is probably not going to do the trick, at least not on the more difficult settings. Alright, so now let's actually go over the units and what the best units are, and then of course some substitutions. And there are 2 MVP units for this encounter, I like to say. These are like the really, really good in comparison to the other units. And the first one makes a lot of sense because we actually have an upcoming step-up banner that we already know about now. It's been teased, and that is Blue Lilia. So Blue Lilia, it kind of makes sense that they're releasing both the Blue Lilia step-up banner and also the final boss Red GOWTHER encounter at the same time, because Blue Lilia is going to be one of the MVP units to bring to this encounter. So if you've got the gems saved up, good news is it's not even a pickup banner, it's a step up. she's going to be fantastic for this encounter. Now, we don't actually have her, of course, in the global version of the game, so I can't show you her skills here, but I'll show you guys a page here of what makes her super good for this encounter. So first of all, on her, first card right there, you have an AoE, which is very important for the second phase. If you don't actually do AoE damage in the second phase to his minions, then he's going to full heal, and it's gonna turn into a mess. So you've got that right there. Also, really importantly, is you have the heal on the second card for the rank 1, and then the second card, the rank 2 version of it, also has a debuff removal as well. So it's kind of like, it's like a king card, the blue king card, except reversed. Blue king, he does the debuff on his rank 1, and then he gets the heal added onto it for his rank 2, whereas for blue Lilia, you've got the heal on the rank 1, and then you've got the debuff removal added onto it in the rank 2. Now, of course, it's not a flat 30% heal like Blue King. It is based off of her attack, but this is going to come in extremely handy for this encounter. And of course, don't forget her ultimate as well, which is an AoE, very important for the second part of the encounter. And you've got a lot of utility stuff added on her first skill and also on her ultimate as well. So she is absolutely fantastic. Now, the next MVP unit is actually going to be somebody that we do have, and that is going to be Blue Lizhawk, somebody that I actually need to work on for this encounter myself. I still only actually have her at the level 50 SSR. Now, she is absolutely phenomenal for this encounter for multiple different reasons. Obviously, she's blue, speed, she's going to have the type advantage, but also her first skill right here is going to do a ton of damage, but you've also got the Amplify as a bonus as well. And because GOWTHER is going to actually have buffs on himself, you are indeed going to get the additional damage from the Amplify effect right here. So that right there. Then also, her second ability right here, Solidify, is absolutely awesome for this encounter. Not only is it going to actually remove debuffs, so you've got that aspect of the encounter taken care of as well, but you're also going to apply Solidify, which is going to give you resistance and survivability. And you can see that the rank 2 version of it and the rank 3 version of it especially get super crazy. And if you can get the rank 3 version of it for the second part of the encounter, you are going to be set when it comes to survivability. So you've got the damage, you've got the survivability and utility, and then, of course, her ultimate here has that charge damage, 700%. So she is very, very good. Those are the two MVP units, I guess you could say. Now, there's still plenty of other very, very good units, and probably a unit that a lot of people are going to be using for this encounter is going to be Blue King. Because he is free, you end up getting him through the story, but he also works very well. Obviously, he has the type advantage, but also his actual damage card, it is single target. That's something you need to be mindful of. You need to still make sure to bring in some type of AoE for the second part of the encounter. And also keep in mind that you're not actually going to get the benefit from the Petrify because of the immune to debuffs part of the encounter. So honestly, considering that's the only benefit of actually ranking up this card, I would strictly just use it for the actual single target damage. So be careful with the actual rank up and merges for this. But second card right here, you've got a removes debuff from all allies right on the rank 1 card, which is absolutely great. Going to be very, very useful for this encounter. Of course, you've got the heal attached onto it as well if you do get it to rank 2. And of course, let's not forget the ultimate, which is going to do tons of damage because it's Shatter, ignores resistance, and it's an AoE, which is going to be really handy for the second part of the encounter. So I think a lot of people are probably going to be using Blue King because he is a free unit and he does work very well for this fight, but there are still plenty of other very, very good units. So another great unit is actually somebody I talked about in a video recently, Blue Gia. She is very, very good because she actually does have an AoE card right here, which is going to be great for the second part of the encounter. Now, keep in mind that it does have that debuff, which isn't actually going to do anything to GOWTHER himself. And the actual damage on it is a little bit low because, you have to account for the fact that normally you'd have this very good debuff on the card. But it is still an AoE, and you also have a removes debuff on her rank 1 as well. And then, of course, you've got the heal attached onto it as well. So she strictly does have I believe it's an exact identical copy to the card that Blue King has. So, you know, the difference between her and Blue King really is the fact that Blue King has a single target damage for his first card, but Blue Gia now has the AoE. So it kind of depends on what you really need more. You're probably not going to get a whole lot of benefit from her actual unique, but from her ultimate, though, it is also AoE, which is great because it's going to be useful for the second part of the encounter. So there are still plenty of other choices as well. As we kind of go down the list, though, it might be a little bit more difficult to kind of incorporate these into your team and really be able to complete the highest difficulties. But of course, you also have Blue Jericho. Now, I've leveled up both of the Jerichos except for the one that we're actually going to need, which is Blue Jericho. And the really big thing about her is actually going to be her unique. She's got the increases speed attribute, allies attack-related stats by 10%. So that's kind of going to be the highlight of why you might want to consider incorporating her. Speaking of uniques, we've got Blue Marmus here. Let's see, Marmus, here we go. Very similar. It's really the unique. That's what he kind of brings to the table there. Increases speed attribute, allies HP by 30%. But there's still a couple of other substitutions as well. You could use, you know, Blue Giant Diane. She's a possibility. You know, she's got the AoE. She's got the single target. She's also got the AoE ultimate as well. And probably going to do a good amount of damage with her unique. You've got Blue Arthur. Probably, you know, now we're kind of at the point in the list where, you know, it's going to be difficult to start to use these units here and really compete for those highest difficulty settings. But let's see, Blue Arthur, I don't think I actually have him. Let's see, maybe I do. I think I do actually for an association for somebody. So let's see, Blue Arthur, here we go. So Blue Arthur, he does have his rank 1 single target right there. And then his rank 2 AoE. Ultimate is going to be single target. And he's unique, increases HP related stats by 6% at the start of the next turn if the hero takes damage. So it might be a little bit reliable or unreliable there on the actual unique. And when I talked about these units here, really think about it as kind of like going from the top of the list down. So obviously we have the MVPs, Blue Lilia and Blue Lizhawk. Then we have Blue King, Blue Gia, Blue Jericho, Marmus, Giant Diane, and Arthur. And there might even be some other units as well. I know people have been talking about Blue Demon Meliodas. Even though he takes the extra damage, some people still think he's going to actually be suited for the task, so I guess people will just have to do some experimentation when the actual encounter comes out. But the last thing that I wanted to mention and kind of end the video off on here is it's most likely we are actually going to get the encounter next week during the maintenance. And this week right now is actually the off week for stamina events. So next week is probably going to be the half stamina week. So you kind of have to keep in mind that, you know, what is going to be, you know, at the top of your priority list. Hopefully, the final boss encounter will be out for 2 weeks, but it'll be released in the week of half stamina. So even though it's going to be really tempting to go completely all out 100% during the half stamina week, you know, if we know for sure that it's going to last for 2 full weeks, it might be better to, you know, sure, you could do a few runs and so on, you know, right when it's released, but it might be better to actually hold off going too crazy until the second half of the event when we don't actually have a half stamina, so you could still make sure to farm all your resources and do all that kind of stuff that, you know, normally you should be doing during half stamina event. So, you know, that's not confirmed. Who knows? Netmarble could easily change up the schedule, do things a little bit differently, but I thought I would kind of throw that in there as like a last minute tip. So anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that it did help out. Like I said earlier, you know, this is kind of the pre-boss version before the encounter is released. But if you guys enjoyed this information and you want a follow-up kind of going through the encounter itself, feel free to let me know somehow by leaving a like, leaving a comment, or of course subscribing to the channel if you enjoy. And more 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross Global videos should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care everyone, and this is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.